My name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. Today I'm going to recommend you some pink books, so with pink covers. And I've did this before with purple. It was a great success, and pink has even more books that I really love or am highly anticipating. So let's start with this. I started this new series, I think like 1.5 or maybe even 2 months ago. And I am planning, because of my rainbow shelf, that was the inspiration, to pick a color every time and then recommend you 10 books with that color. And I do 5 books that I have already read and really liked. And I do 5 books that I am highly anticipating and are very high on my TBR. For books that I have already read, there were so many options. There are still quite some pink books in my bookcase, like Why the Crawdads Sing, or Sorcerer's Moon, or Dit is hoe het ging, and Waar olifanten dansen. Quite some pink books, and even some more upstairs that I've already read, but I chose the 5 that I wanted to recommend to you the most. For books that I haven't read yet but are on my TBR, it was a little bit more difficult. There are exactly 5, so let's start with this. I'm really excited and I hope you will like it. So we're starting with the 5 books that I have read and want to recommend to you. And the first one is a book that I got for free at a Young Adult Literature Festival in my goodie bag. And that is The Grey Shear by Kim Liggett. And this is a dystopian YA novel, and it is about women, or are all the young people? I don't believe. Yeah, exactly. All the women are going to just kind of camp to become an adult, but a lot of weird things happen there and they're not allowed to talk about it when they come back. So it is a dystopian world there, and of course our main character tries to figure out what is happening there and tries to find a way to escape from it. And it is really good. I know a lot of people really liked it. I thought it was a little bit too much. Like, this main character wasn't really believable to me. And that she got so much done was also not really believable to me. But the world that was created and the dystopian was really creepy and therefore really good. So I would still highly recommend this book. And if anything is pink, well, this one definitely is. And this is the Dutch version, but the English version is just as pink. So highly recommend this one. The next one is something completely different, but that is Royals by Rachel Hawkins. And this is more like a romance story about the monarchy. The main character is not related to the royals, but her sister is going to marry one of the princes, so she needs to be part of this, and she doesn't like the paparazzi, she doesn't like this life as a royal, she doesn't want any of it, but she has no choice. And it is actually quite a funny romance contemporary novel, also YA actually, and really enjoyed the main character that was a little bit grumpy all the time and her time at the royal court. So yeah, if you want a quick read that is pink, I would highly recommend this book. The next one is a book that I would like to recommend to everyone always, but luckily for me it has a pink spine, so I could recommend it to you. And that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I thought up front that I would never be a person that liked Colleen Hoover's book. I don't know, they just sound like they're so romantic, and I am not a romance person. So I don't really want to read romance novels. But I read It Ends With Us anyway. It was just so much a hype. I wanted to know what it was about. And I loved this book. Actually, I adored it. I cried so much when I read it. I literally called my mom and I was like, Mom, you need to read this. I am crying my eyes out. This is so good. But it is not for everyone. Look up the trigger warnings. The story sounds romantic. The first parts are very cliche, and a lot of people actually already were like, no, this is too cliche for me, I don't want it. But it is on purpose. It is on purpose. It needs to be in the story so that the fall, when everything is not as perfect as it seemed in the beginning, is bigger. So that you also feel like you're in love, you're in this romantic relationship, and everything is so perfect, and you feel like you're bubbly and flying and just over the moon happy for this romance, and you're really shipping them, and then everything slowly starts to get wrong. And that is the power of this story, that you also feel like, no, but they're so good. Don't, yeah. So that's the power of this story. If you can feel that, if you can neglect that it sounds cliche but it is on purpose, this book is the most brilliant book ever. And that she made me feel that many things, I think it's ridiculously good. And I'm so curious to now read other Colleen Hoover's books. Are they all this good? Please let me know in the comments. Are all Colleen Hoover's books as good as It Ends With Us? Because, wow. And next we have a book that maybe sounds cheating to you, but for me it's not, because I am recommending books to you that are pink in my bookcase. And that means that if they're like this in my bookcase, I'm recommending books to you that have a pink spine. So I'm actually recommending a green book to you with a very pink spine, and that is Heartstopper Volume 1. This is a graphic novel comic series. And it is a coming of age LGBTQ plus representation comic story of two boys that are at high school, and they meet each other, and they develop feelings for each other, but they want to figure it out. There's a lot of more things to it. It's actually such a quick read. It reads in like 45 minutes or something, and I can't wait to read all the other volumes. But the hype of this was so high that I thought that I wouldn't be a part of it. But no, this is actually, it was in the end my favorite read of August of this year. And I read 3 or 4 5-star ratings in that month. So even within a lot of favorite books, this one was my favorite. So that is really good. Please read it. It also can help you come out of a reading slump or something, because it reads so fast, it is a comic, and after this I really felt like, oh, I want to read more, not only from this but just reading. Well, so a very quick read to get you out of a reading slump. And then something completely different, but which I wanted to recommend to you as well, is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I never know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. It also has kind of a pink spine. And I wanted to recommend this book because the coolest thing about this, if you haven't heard about Fight Club, it's also turned into a movie, and a lot of people actually think the movie is better than the book. I haven't watched the movie, I don't know, I like the book, so I think the movie might be a little bit too rough for me, because there's a lot of fighting in here, if you didn't understand. And reading that feels better to me than actually watching it. But the funny thing about this is that chapter 9 of this book used to be a short story. And the short story was praised so well and received so well that the author decided to write a novel around it. And the novel is great, but chapter 9 is just incredibly good. So that is so funny that, I don't know, just knowing that that chapter could stand on its own and also be really good, I find very interesting. So it is a classic and it reads fast. It has a little more than 200 pages. So this is also something that if you want to read more classics or very well-known and praised novels, this could be it. So if you want to read Fight Club, I would recommend it to you. So now on to the books that I still want to read and are pink. As I said, there were only 5 that I owned already. So to recommend 5, we have exactly that amount. So I did not make a shifting in this, and that means that some books I want to read very soon, but some books I also know are not high on my TBR, but I still plan on reading them, otherwise I wouldn't have owned them. But we're starting with a book that I should have read like already 3 times and still haven't read. So this one is the highest on my TBR, and that is Loveless by Alice Oseman. Heartstopper is also by Alice Oseman. You know now how much I love that book. But this is the favorite book of all time, of all the books, from my sister. And she was like, please read it. And I was like, I will. And I didn't. So that is shameful. I'm really sorry. But I did buy it, which is already part. Alright. But I am going to read this soon. I'm so curious if I love this as much as Heartstopper. And I'm also so curious to read... Well, I feel like if you read the absolute favorite book of a person, you know a little bit about them. So I'm curious to read why this might be the favorite book of my sister. And I really, really, really want to read this. Have you read it already? Please let me know. What do you think of Alice Oseman's books? Because she has been incredibly popular. It feels like all the teens of this generation have read at least Heartstopper, but usually they just read all of them. And I also really love, like, all these publications are also in rainbow, and they're also, of course, that's on purpose as well, because LGBTQ plus representation in all of them and all different kinds. So yeah, I need to collect these all, but I first need to read Loveless. And the next book I just bought, that is something completely different. It was funny because my last video got a warning because I was talking about it. Weird. But that is Vaccinatie by Simon Rozendaal. This is the second part of the Elementary Parts Little Encyclopedia series that we have in the Netherlands. And I just wanted to read all of them so that I learn a little bit about a lot of different topics. I like to know at least the basics of a lot of popular topics. Also because I want to know them in the bookstore, that I can talk with people, with clients, with customers actually. I can talk about them, about everything a little bit. And I just find it interesting myself as well. I just want to know things. So the first part was about Earth. I have read that one. I thought it was a little bit too dry, and they should have done it. I think they did it in chronological order, but therefore the subjects were not really matching, so it was really weird. Or the other way around. I don't remember at the moment, but there was something with the order that I think they did it in chronological order, which made it weird, because if subjects would have been together, it would have made more sense. But every part is written by another author, so I could hate this one or love it. I have no clue yet. But this one is, of course, about vaccines and vaccination, and it's updated since COVID-19. So I am curious to see how vaccination changed the world. And it's pink. I don't know why, but it is. So cool. And now we're coming to the books that are on my TBR, but a little bit lower. The first one is a book that I got from a friend. She was cleaning her closets and she was like, I'm not going to read this book anymore. Do you want it? And of course I want all the books, but I don't think I'm going to read it soon. And it is A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. And this is just a love story. I think I know nothing else about it. It looks very much like a love story. Do you see all the hearts and all the pink? And it says 14 viewpoints, one love story, which is actually cute and cool. So I am curious to see this love story from 14 different viewpoints. But yeah, it says on the title, everyone can see they're in love except them. So I guess we have like 14 viewpoints and not theirs. So we see their love story from others' eyes. And actually that is quite cool. So now I'm reading this, I'm actually more excited, but I think I won't get to it very soon because, as you can see, I have so many books that I still need to read, and these are books that I didn't plan on reading because I just got them randomly, and then, you know, it doesn't happen for a few years. But it sounds cool. The next one is also such a thing. The next two are actually such a thing because I actually got them from someone I don't really know that well, but was like, I'm giving away free books. If someone wants them, please come pick them up. And I knew them vaguely, so I was like, I would like them. And she was like, okay. So one of them is Undertaking Love by Kat French. And this is also obviously a romance. All's fair in love and war. And I'm just going to read it back to you because I literally know nothing about this. When Marla Jacob discovers that the vacant shop next to her little white wedding chapel is to become a funeral parlor, she declares all-out war on the new proprietor Gabriel Ryan. With an army of loyal supporters, she embarks on a campaign to sabotage his reputation and livelihood. But when she finally meets Gabriel, she realizes just how much trouble she's in. With his effortless charm and Celtic good looks, Gabriel begins to form alliances with her so-called loyal army, and reluctantly she finds herself falling under his spell, and destroying him becomes the last thing on her mind. This sounds like a rom-com. So if I ever am in need of a rom-com to just feel all giggly, I think I'm going to pick this one up. This sounds so cute actually. And this enemies to lovers prompt is not something I've read a lot about. So I know there are a lot of books and I know it could be something for me. Maybe if the hate to love is well done. The hate makes sense and the love also makes sense. I don't know. I'm more excited than I thought I would be. And the last one is of course also a kind of a romance. And that is Hot Mess by Lucy Fine. And I'm also going to read this to you. Oh no, I'm not because it's in Dutch. So Hot Mess apparently is here about an attractive person that is constantly in a state of chaos. And they say it's Bridget Jones on Tinder, Carrie Bradshaw in London, and Lana Dunham's Girls as one romance novel. So, this sounds like a romantic comedy as well. And I am fine with those. I'm glad I own 3 of those now. And maybe I can do a video on that one day. Let me know if you would like that. Reading only rom-coms for a week. I think I've done for years. But I already own 3 that sound quite fun actually. So let me know if you would be interested in that. And that is actually it. I really hope you liked this video. The last video, the purple one, got received pretty well and I'm really excited about this. If you want to see a certain color, let me know. On the last video someone commented brown and I am going to do that, but I literally don't own enough books brown books obviously, to recommend you 10. So brown is not going to be the next one. I think the next one would be red if nothing strange happens, because that is the next one in my rainbow shelf. But I will also take some time. Let me know what are your favorite pink books. Are any of these on your list to read or on your favorites list? Let me know. And if you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! By the way, I used to have so many pink shirts and blouses and sweaters, and now this was the only kind of pinkish shirt I could find. So it just had to do, but it's not as pink as I would have liked it to.